Richard, can I just ask, I know what I think MOO.com is, and I think pretty much everyone in this room will have a fair idea, but how do you see the business that you founded? What is it?
God, I should really have like a prepared elevator pitch for what the business is, but it's changed so much over the years. It's always evolving and always becoming something different. I think fundamentally we're trying to disrupt an industry like print. We're trying to use the internet to do that. And I think that the way that I sort of describe the two intersecting worlds that we're interested in is the world of design, which is can be quite snooty, quite inaccessible, quite difficult to get access to great designers and great pieces of design, great items of design. And we're trying to intersect that with technology and the world of technology, which is really about doing things yourself, lower price points, and greater accessibility. So our kind of internal philosophy is really great design for everyone. And the medium that we deliver that through today is print, but we're living in a very fast-moving and evolving world.
And the products you make?
Should I literally describe what I do?
No.
So fundamentally today we print a lot of different products. Business cards is one of our best-selling products. We sell hundreds of millions of those a year across the world to about 200 different countries. We're about 250 people based in Boston and London. But we also print stickers and greeting cards and other things like that.
And it is just an extraordinary thing, printing business cards. There are businesses that do that on every high street, not just in Britain, but in the world. But there's only one MOO.com. How did you do that? What was it that you did that the others didn't?
So to understand that, you kind of need to understand the legacy of printing as an industry. It's 500 years old, you know, if you look back to Gutenberg. And it was a transformational technology in and of itself, 1565, whenever it was. However, more recently, it's a very local, family-run enterprise, which means that you're serving customers within a particular geography near where you operate, and it's about local relationships, and they're typically lifestyle businesses. The internet has come along and disrupted those businesses well before MOO came along. There are businesses like Vistaprint, which is probably one of the largest online printing businesses that we compete with, which has a fairly significant market cap, over $1 billion in sales based in Boston and across the world. And thanks. Should we turn these off?
No, it's all right.
Okay. So I think our approach is unique to theirs in that we've clearly used technology to try and reach customers in a wider geography. We use technology in manufacturing, we use technology in terms of trying to improve the user experience, but we also try to use technology to make the products better, so higher quality, more exciting, and provide our customers with a better experience and a better end product. That's really where we've focused on good products.
Now, there's going to be a lot of people in this room, as you've probably detected already, who are looking at you thinking, I want to start a successful business.
If you can do
it. Absolutely. So who are you? How did you, what's your background?
I'm 36. I was born in London. I went to school. I studied philosophy and politics at university. I just about scraped through my degree. I went to work for the BBC for a very short time and then joined a startup business in 2000, where I worked for a couple of years. And then I joined a design company in 2002 called Imagination, which is a founder-run business, but a very large one. In the design and communications world, and I quit there to start MOO in 2004. So the last 10 years has been my life.
Because you lived through the dot-com bubble. You joined the BBC as the internet was becoming mainstream.
Yeah, it was an amazing... So I worked in a company that failed for 2 years. It was called Sorted.com, and it was run by the older brother of a very good friend of mine. And I was kind of one of 20 or 30 very young kids that was brought into the business on £12,000 a year with the promise that we were going to build the next X, Y, and Z. And actually, the 2 years of challenges and failure within that business, there was no fault, there was no one stupid in that business, the strategy wasn't wrong, it was just, you know, the market, timing, challenges to raise money and all sorts of other things. And it was the failure of that, knowing what that tastes like, knowing what that feels like, was incredibly motivating. And, you know, at MOO, we've never had to do compulsory redundancies. We've never had to do forced fundraisings because we run out of money. Some of the learnings of being part of a business that's failed, really understanding what that feels like to make people redundant and to be in teams that were cut to have seen teams that were cut loose back then was an incredible experience. And you know, they say fail fast. And I suppose at MOO we failed very cheaply initially, without having lots of employees in the business. It was a relatively inexpensive failure at the beginning. We learnt our lessons and moved on and have subsequently thrived.
When you say you failed, what do you mean by failed? Because MOO is still here. Most businesses that fail, they disappear.
Well, you learn by falling down, right? And I think you'll never walk if you're not prepared to fall over along the way. And I think we've made so many terrible mistakes. Hopefully I'll get to tell you about some of them this evening. But each one has informed, each bad mistake has informed 2 or 3 very good decisions. And as long as you only make them once, as long as it doesn't become a pattern of behaviour, it's a way of establishing, your ultimate direction as a business. Whether that's through the path of least resistance or understanding the block that's in front of you and how you're going to tackle it the second time. But having setbacks and failing at things is a necessary byproduct of trying to innovate. Because if you have to risk something, there has to be the chance of failure, and you have to be okay with that. So lots of people that I grew up with at school thought starting my business with my stupid business plan and my vision for it, they thought I was absolutely crazy, and they told me not to do it because it would likely fail, and I was stupid just enough to defy them and the chance that it would, and be okay with the fact that if it did fail, I'd just try something else. So you need that kind of optimism.
One question I have to ask: the BBC. I worked there for a number of years. I found leaving the BBC very difficult. The BBC is consistently comes in polls as being the one organisation that I think more people than any other organisation want to work for. Yeah. And yet you turned your back on it and then walked off and became an entrepreneur. Why did you decide to walk away from that security and out into that world of uncertainty?
It's nicknamed Auntie, isn't it, the BBC? They should call it Mummy, because it's a bit like the security of the state looking after you. It's a bit like a pension of some kind that's, it's going to see you through or whatever. It's not a very entrepreneurial organisation. I think the BBC is responsible for creating amazing things. Don't get me wrong. It's as an institution, as an organisation, it's created amazing technologies in its time. It has produced incredibly creative shows of all different kinds, but it's secure, in a way. And I think that if you're going to do anything genuinely groundbreaking and disruptive, you kind of need the cord to be cut. You need, the safety rope, the safety net gone. That will get you to the other end, hopefully.
So why entrepreneurship?
Because I wasn't really very good at anything else. I wasn't left a lot of choices. No, that's serious. I mean, when I left Sorted in 2002, which we're going to talk a bit about stupid names of businesses. MOO is one. The business, what I called it earlier was even worse. Sorted was pretty bad. But, I applied to 11 graduate schemes. I was still within the age range that would have accepted them. I applied to all of the top 10, probably the top 11 graduate schemes for advertising businesses in the UK. And I got rejected from every single one of them. Because frankly, it's not like I'm not upset about it, but it's just, I wasn't good enough, clearly. I hadn't had the education, I hadn't done work experience to the extent that was required. There were people who were just considerably better than me. So I didn't have a chance to go and do that stuff. So the option to me was, I'll start my own business and do things in my own way, which made a lot of sense to me.
Let's try this extraordinary piece of technology.
I'm terrified because I can't see what's going to be asked.
They're all safe. Darren Mulvihill, at the early stage, how did you prove to your first sophisticated tech investor that you were a truly scalable tech startup, not just a print house with a great website?
Well, I'd need to understand what a truly scalable tech house is. If that means a business that can scale its technology or its operations, that's one thing. But maybe to talk about it in terms of how could you build a big business and be a print business. I mean, unlike a lot of technology businesses who can, you can share your product through the ether, You know, you can have people sign up and never have to go to a physical location, never have to wait for something in the post. We've had to do it, we call it word of card rather than word of mouth, because it literally, you know, the virality of my business is person to person. But I think there's something quite charming about the fact that it's a human-to-human interaction, that it's a physical token, that it's precious and collectible, and it's not ephemeral, it's something that you can put on a shelf. Somewhere on the website I wrote a line that said, "We love the web, but you can't put it in your pocket." And there's something about the virtual and I say ephemeral, again, nature of the internet, that it's just intangible, it doesn't really mean anything, it doesn't really do anything, it's just a delivery mechanism. So making a physical product was very exciting, even if it takes longer to scale that up. The way that we scaled operations and our kind of technical part of our operations was we worked with very good partners initially who essentially were professional printers. Our early, actually it's still our tagline, but tagline was, "We love to print," which we really like because it's true and it's very personal. But we jokingly nearly changed it to "We love to PDF," because that was our business back then. We didn't actually do any printing initially. Now we're completely vertically integrated. We have all the production in-house. But I think in terms of how you scale the physical operations, you just do it slowly, you do it in a measured way. What you don't do is what everyone did in 2000, which is spend $100 million on buying out hundreds of thousands of square feet of production. You grow with your customers, you outsource the commoditized part of your business for as long as you possibly can, and focus on ownable bits of proprietary technology that you can use to differentiate yourself between yourselves and the competition.
One thing you do have at MOO.com is essentially one of the most expensive bits of internet real estate of them all, a 3-letter domain name, and a great one at that. How did you get MOO.com?
To tell that story, I have to tell you what it was before. So I hope you don't have that question later on, because I'm about to ruin that for you. So those of you who know anything about the business might know that the business was originally called Pleasure Cards, right? The laugh shows me that maybe you didn't. So it was the world's worst name of any business. And again, the early failure, and the rationale was, if you're trying to reinvent the business card, disrupted initially by giving